Hello, 75B Lit Crits. Here is your overview video for week 11. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you're getting ready to hit the second half of the semester strong. We got some really interesting stuff coming up here, but maybe I always say that. Um, I don't think I ever put stuff on there that I think is boring. But anyway, this is what you're watching right now. Let's go ahead and jump to our week 11 overview. Go ahead and kill that one. So here we're going to start talking about literature past 1945, so after World War II. And that includes the very important literary and cultural movement known as postmodernism. Postmodernism is probably the slipperiest of literary movement terms. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that it's very recent, and it's something that we are still going through at this very moment. Uh, but keeping that all in mind, we've got some very, very interesting stuff going on here. Looking at your Wednesday, you've got your essay number 2 thesis statement due. Keep in mind, uh, give me up to 3. I think the best strategy is not to give me the same one with different wording, but to give me 3 very different projects, maybe on totally different texts or whatever. I know people want to get the wording of the thesis statement right, but let's just look at the very bold directions you are considering at this point. You know, after we have a little discussion about that, and I give you a little nudge here or there, then we can talk about how do we really clean up and refine that wording for the thesis statement. Not a big deal. So get that into me on Wednesday. You also have your discussion post due on Wednesday. Coming up on Saturday, we'll begin our foray into postmodernism. You've got some reading that gives historical and cultural background, American Lit since 1945, pages 3 through 24. And this will really help cement what is really operating in certain cultural practices and literary practices during this time frame. You'll also be looking at John Cheever's The Swimmer, an iconic short story that is about many things. As far as themes go, I want you to think about the role of the suburbs. Remember, the suburbs are something very new during this time. People are pulling away from urban centers for lots of different reasons. One of them is class. People who are wealthier can afford to own cars and drive in and out of the city, and they have more freedom in terms of transportation. It's also about race in a way. We see a lot of white flight happening out of urban centers and urban neighborhoods during this time as well. So those are 2 really important elements. Other themes I'd like you to look at are American masculinity, especially in the lead, in the main character. He is saying he's thinking he's doing something kind of ambitious and even like mildly heroic, but there's a sense of irony that you'll see develop in there. No spoilers. That is a hallmark of postmodernism. So keep in mind, keep on the lookout for hints of irony as you're reading through that story. The name of the suburb is Bullitt Park. That in itself is almost worth the paper. This is post-World War II, and we've got this very nice Tony suburb with a name with 2 very different words in it. Bullitt, which is, all about, warfare and warfare industries, and park, the idea of a bucolic, pastoral, natural place. And in some ways that kind of shows the fusion of American culture that is taking place in some quarters. In some ways, the American military-industrial complex has contributed to the wealth of the United States and allowed for these parks or suburbs to flourish. So it's a very strange moment. So think about the role of masculinity, irony, unreliable narrator as well. All really important elements. The other thing I want you to think about too are like performances of class. The protagonist is, a fairly well-off individual, but there are also certain rules that he has to abide by in order to display his social economic class. Who can he talk to? Who can he not talk to? What behavior is appropriate? What behavior is not appropriate? Keep all of those things in mind. And after that, on Saturday, you'll notice, of course, you've got your 2 replies on 2 different comments for discussion 11. And keep in mind that that's going to be on William Faulkner. It's not going to be on John Cheever because we're going to need a little bit of time to get to that. All right, course modules. I'll go ahead and give that a jump real fast. So here for the discussion, you will notice we'll be talking about William Faulkner's barn burning, and we'll be thinking a little bit about what barn burning as a short story says about the postbellum South. Postbellum being a word coming to us from Latin, meaning after the war, specifically after the Civil War. And the other thing to think about is William Faulkner's writing style. He definitely is considered a kind of modernist. You might want to call him a Southern modernist. Again, he does fall into the Southern Gothic genre as well. But think about how, as a fiction writer, his style, his word choice, the way he presents the interior thoughts of his characters using interior monologue, how that differs from some of the earlier pieces of fiction that we've read, including, if you want to, like, say, Theodore Dreiser or even Mark Twain. So that'll be something interesting for us to take a look at. As we get closer to the present day, we're going to notice that style, in some ways, is going to accelerate in changes, and that's another facet of 20th century literature, art, and culture in general. Part of it's a function of the acceleration of mass media and technology, but things change more rapidly. So be on the lookout for that. Now, going back to our overview, no, we'll go back to the course module. What you will notice under learning materials is that I've got quite a bit of background information for you regarding American literature in this period, and it's so essential for us to get a good handle on the historical and cultural and technological and political and social changes that are taking place in this period in order to understand the literature. So I've got a lot of good background information. Some of it's going to be review for you, especially if you've done a bit of American history already. But I think it's important to help us connect this, to connect these ideas and these moments to the texts, and they help us understand in what ways American literature during this period is hailing or referencing these changes and these developments in American culture, politics, technology, et cetera, et cetera. So you've got these 3 guys, and I think it's pretty fun. Then, of course, you've got a quick video view about John Cheever in particular. Hope you enjoy that as well. Keep in mind, any of the videos that I put in here about American history and cultural background, and of course the authors, consider those required. After that, we've already talked about this. You've also got a thesis statement due. I'll open that up. Nothing real exciting there, but I've already talked about this a little bit. 15 points. If you've got any questions, of course, hit me up. Let me know. One more thing I do want to say, I did put a quiz 2 reminder here. Remember, our quiz 2 is coming up not this Thursday, but the next Thursday, which is the 4th, I believe. So be on the lookout for that. It's going to be on weeks 6 through 10. So in other words, Cheever will not be on it. Faulkner can count to be on it, though. I don't know if you got any questions about how to study for that. Please let me know, and I'll be happy to give you as much information as I have on it. That's really it. That's all we got going on for this week, but I think it's enough. It's a really exciting time in American literature, and again, this is going to feel in some ways a lot more relatable. For some people, this is going to be about, life for their grandparents in the U.S. or that time era of their grandparents in the U.S. or maybe their great grandparents. Anyway, it's a really interesting point in time for American literature, and there's going to be a lot to discuss coming up. I hope you guys have a great week. Please don't hesitate to contact me if you got any questions. Until then, I will talk to you later.